And I am late tonight because I had my Tuesday church activity on Zoom. So I am a little late, but I'm on here now and ready to talk about disabilities. So, what topic shall we talk about tonight? Let me see who's on. Okay. I don't think anybody's here yet. So, we've been talking about physical disabilities. Let's talk about mental disabilities tonight. So, oh, what's that? And got my thing up. Let me go to screen share. All right, now you can see where I go on the internet. And oh, there's a Google thing. Let's see what this is. Okay, old style game. Let's see. Oh, let's get in a boat. All right, arrow and whoop. I can't leave now. There's still sports to win. Oh, well. Anyway. Oh, now how do I get out of it? Ah, all right. Okay. Anyway, a little distraction there. I'm very distracted tonight. Let's see. Okay. Let's look at the World Health Organization. Oh, okay. Let's see. Does that sound mean that somebody's here? I was just checking. I guess that's just my little thing that lets people know that I'm in here. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna menu file and put this link there, but I'm gonna go back up, and this is 24 August 2021. Mental disabilities. And this link is from the World Health Organization. I like using some international sources because I've had people pop into my chat from at least 15 countries, so I don't want to just give US sources. Okay. And I'll put the link in there so people can follow along, see where I'm getting the information. Alrighty. So, off we go. There are many different mental disorders. generally characterized by a combination of abnormal thoughts, perceptions, emotions, behavior, and relationships with others. It includes depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, and other psychoses, dementia, and developmental disorders, including autism. There are effective strategies for preventing mental disorders. There are effective treatments for mental disorders. And access to health care and social services capable of providing treatment and social support is key. So there's all sorts of things. Depression is one of the main causes of disability worldwide. And there's the symptoms. Prevention programs have been shown to reduce depression, both for children and adults. And through psychological support, through following abuse or after disasters and conflicts. There are also effective treatments. Antidepressants can help, but they should not be the first line of treatment for mild depression. If it's really interfering with your life, that's when you need to talk to a professional about it. But and then bipolar disorder affects about 45 million people worldwide. And there are effective treatments, medicines that stabilize mood, psychosocial support is an important component of treatment. Schizophrenia and other psychoses. Schizophrenia affects about 20 million people worldwide. Psychoses, including schizophrenia, are characterized by distortions in thinking, perception, emotions, language, and sense of self and behavior. It can include hallucinations, hearing, seeing, or feeling things that are not there, and delusions, false beliefs, or suspicions that are firmly held, even when there is evidence to the contrary. It can make it difficult for people affected to work or study normally. And people with psychosis are at high risk of exposure to human rights violations, such as long-term confinement in institutions. This is why in the United States so many people are in jail, because they even build mental health prisons where the object is just to confine them, not really to treat them. I think that is terrible. We should not be putting people in jail just because they react unpredictably. If someone is hallucinating, they are not in contact with the real world, or they may be halfway in and halfway out, and they may not follow a policeman's directions to put their hands in the air or whatever, um, because they're not mentally able to think straight. And especially in a situation where you've got a man with a gun telling you to do something, and a lot of them just freak out. So we need to have better understanding of mental disorders in general and dementia. Approximately 50 million people have it, and it is something that usually happens with age, and it's beyond what might be expected from normal aging. It affects memory, thinking, orientation, comprehension, calculation, learning capacity, language, and judgment. And there's often deterioration in emotional control, social behavior, or motivation. It's caused by a variety of diseases and injuries that affect the brain. Alzheimer's disease or stroke are two of the um, two things that can cause dementia, but there are other causes. There's no treatment currently available to cure it or to alter its progressive course, but there are treatments. Um, Much can be done to support and improve the lives of people with dementia and their carers and families. Then there's developmental disorders, including autism. It covers intellectual disability and pervasive developmental disorders, things that happen in childhood, causing impairment or delay in functions related to the maturation of the central nervous system. They generally follow a steady course rather than the periods of remissions and relapses that characterize many mental disorders. Intellectual disability is characterized by impairment of skills across multiple developmental areas, such as cognitive functioning and adaptive behavior. Lower intelligence diminishes the ability to adapt to the daily demands of life. So it gives symptoms, and family involvement in their care is very important. And structure to daily routines can help them. The community at large has a role to play in respecting the rights and needs of people with disabilities. Who is at risk from mental disorders? A person's individual attributes can help or harm a person at risk for mental disorders. And also social, cultural, economic, political, and environmental factors such as national policy, social protection, standards of living, working conditions, and community support. Stress, genetics, nutrition, perinatal infections, that's infections of pregnancy, and exposure to environmental hazards are contributing factors. Health systems have not yet adequately responded to the burden of mental disorders. The gap between the need for treatment and its provision is wide all over the world. In low and middle income countries, between 76% and 85% of people with mental disorders receive no treatment. And another problem is the poor quality of care for many. In addition to support from healthcare services, people with mental illness require social support and care. They often need help to access educational programs and find employment and housing. So, WHO's Mental Health Action Plan 2013 to 2020 recognizes the essential role of mental health in achieving health for all people. 4 major objectives in this plan: more effective leadership, the provision of comprehensive integrated mental health and social care services, the implementation of strategies for promotion and prevention, and strengthened information systems, evidence, and research. So they will probably be updating this program this year so that it goes on, and I hope they do. It's so important for us to recognize mental disorders as a major problem to society, and solving this problem would make productive citizens out of more people afflicted. Most everybody wants a purpose in life, and they want to feel like they're fulfilling that purpose. And there is work that everyone can do, nearly everybody. If we include more people with disabilities in the workforce, period, we will all benefit. So let's go back and see what else we find. Let's look for a top 10 list. Let's see. And here's a story from the San Francisco Chronicle. Mental illness and disability aren't crimes. Police can't keep being California's first responder. So I will include the article. I think the paywall is going to prevent me from actually looking at it online, but it's an important issue. I've seen a lot in the news recently about, you know, some of the people mentioned in Black Lives Matter, people who lost their lives because police misunderstood a mental disorder in one of them. It's so important that we train our police to recognize mental disabilities and to have some kindness when they respond to somebody that might have a mental disorder, rather than just being a run-of-the-mill crook that doesn't really care. People with mental problems can seem like more of a threat than they are. Oftentimes, they are not dangerous. The few that are, we need to have long-term at our public facilities for them to stay in and have that supervision. The cost of incarceration is so great that why can't we have mental health facilities instead of building mental health jails? I think that we need to understand these things. We need to have social workers working with police so that if we are going to put people in jail, we need to make sure that they are criminals and not disabled people that are acting in a way that you don't expect, or that they are not mentally ill that we are putting in jail because we have no place else to put them. In the 80s, we closed all of our large mental health facilities in this country. And I disagree with that. Now, granted, big institutions are not the answer, but we need small facilities, community-based facilities near people's homes where they can go and have a supervised life if they have severe mental deficiencies. Then services for them can be concentrated in one area and they can still have freedoms, but they can be supervised. And it would be cheaper than putting them in jail. Our tax dollars are being wasted on so much incarceration when the majority of people in prisons are not people who have committed crimes and they're paying their debt to society. It's school children that were truant and got into drugs or something else, but maybe because of a mental disorder. And we need to separate these people out and say, wait a minute, our mental health system has totally failed. We need to take another look at it and get these people out of jail and into facilities where they belong. It would be cheaper. It would give them the care they need. And it would free the police up to do their job and catch criminals. Ah, we need drug treatment. People could be productive members of society if they had help to get off of stuff. Everybody makes mistakes. Why can't we forgive these people and give them the health care and the mental health care that they need so that they can overcome their addictions and then become law-abiding citizens? It's a big problem, and we really need to look at this, and we need to solve it as a it's a global problem. Yeah, I agree. Um, that's such a good idea, Myros. Definitely. We need a lot more training for our policemen, and you know, we need social workers working with police departments. We've had there are some communities that have implemented that and seen some success here in the US. And defunding the police, I think that that cry comes from a lot of black people. If they call the police will find an excuse to write them a ticket or arrest them because there's a lot of bigots among our police. And I probably should put that more politely, but there are a lot of organizations in the United States that are white racist, that they work on people just out of the military and get them to go join the police so that they can, you know, eh, so that they're out there just looking for excuses to use their police power against minorities. And because they believe that minorities are somehow flawed is crazy. So I believe that we need to look at our criminal justice system and we need to redesign it from the ground up. We absolutely need to find the people who are being arrested needlessly and give them the tools they need to survive in life and thrive. We have cut down a lot of the education programs for the incarcerated. It's very, very sad. I might do a whole live stream on incarceration because social issues are intertwined. Incarceration, homelessness, mental health, and physical health, and the lack of universal health care in our country. This all is one problem with many, many facets. And it's not easy to solve because it's complicated. All these cries of defund the police, well, that really is not going to solve the issues we have. But if we redirect some of their funding to include social services in every police department, this would be a start. It's not the solution. We need a lot of smart people to get together and figure out what the best way to do this is. Well, there have been studies that show that Black people really don't do most of the crime. What happens is a lot of policemen will arrest Black people more than they will white people. White people, they might let off with a warning or a ticket instead of taking them in. They are a lot more likely, if the person is a person of color, to arrest them rather than just giving them a warning. So we need better laws. We need to have services. If we intervened with youth and we had more things for youth to do instead of being out on the streets looking for trouble, um, and if we, the crime needs to have, we need, I don't, I am just not thinking well tonight, but there are so many good articles out there on this that really I need to back it up with some sources. My mind can't keep all the things I read, but yeah, there, I lived in a Black neighborhood, and we had a prowler for 4 long years. He was trying to break in my house. He was trying to break in my neighbors' houses too. He was Black, but he was preying on Black people and white people. He was an equal opportunity crook. And everybody was scared. And I was saying to my Black neighbor, we need to all call the police and maybe they'll catch him. And all the Black people were like, I ain't calling the police. And it wasn't that they were doing anything criminal, but as I've looked into this issue, because I was wondering, why were they so afraid of calling the police? We had a Black police chief. I thought that, maybe, knowing that some of the officers were Black would make it more comfortable for them to call the police. But no, it didn't work that way. And so I started researching, you know, and it is a fact that a lot more Black people get put in jail for minor offenses and for drugs. And, drugs are not a Black problem. There are plenty of white people addicted to drugs too, but police don't tend to incarcerate as many white people as they do people of color, Black people and Hispanic people. We sure did. In the 80s, we passed all these just harsh laws we reduce the amount of drug that somebody would have on them to get arrested. I'll have to look that up because, I think how America deals with drugs is arrest people. They don't do interventions. They don't, it's crazy. We, if you're rich, you can get drug treatment. I'll have to look up and see because, absolutely, it's so discouraging. I've heard from people who spent time in prison and they got out and they couldn't handle life on the outside and they would go commit a crime just to get re-incarcerated because they didn't know how to function without being told what to do. We need to teach people when we arrest them, we need to treat them with kindness and show them how to function in society. Um, but it would be nice if you could make a living wage once you got out of prison, because once you have a criminal record, getting a job, period, is just entirely horrible. And so if you've got the record, it follows you the rest of your life. Maybe you made a mistake when you were teenage and you get out, in your 20s, and then you have no clue how to make money, and nobody will hire you because of your criminal record. And it's like we don't forgive people. They make one mistake and we just write them off and we just want to throw away the key in prisons. And it's crazy. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Absolutely. And I believe that we should do the same thing. We should decriminalize drug offenses and instead emphasize making drug treatment affordable. It is a medical problem. It is not some moral weakness. And it's awful to hear how people talk about drug addicts as if they, it's a medical condition. It's dangerous and treatment is horribly expensive, so very few people can afford it. And it's all private. There's no public being able to get drug treatment. So we need universal health care, and drug treatment needs to be a part of that picture. And mental health care needs to be a part of that picture because we are jailing people. We jail more people in this country than communist China. Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's what we need in this country. We need that kind of approach, definitely. So we need to reverse these harmful laws that we did in the 80s, putting these horrible consequences on just a first offense. And so many people are sitting in jail and they aren't bad people. Addicts are not bad people. They have a medical problem. Yeah. Yeah. We incarcerate more people than they do in communist China. We have so many people in jail, and over half of them are mentally ill. A lot of them are disabled. And it's like you use prison when somebody is a threat to society, they're gonna hurt somebody, or they're going to kill somebody, or they're going to rob people at gunpoint, and they don't care if they shoot them. Those people need to be in prison. But people with intellectual disabilities, people who are physically disabled, and people who are mentally ill, and people who are addicted to something don't belong in prison. They need help. And we've decided we'd rather throw billions of our tax dollars at just putting them in prison and throwing away the key, basically. And if we took even half of that money and put it into mental health facilities in communities, if we had drug treatment facilities in communities, then we wouldn't have 1 out of 4 people being addicted in our country. The drug problem exploded after they made all these harsh penalties. So, yeah, we should do what Portugal did. And there are a lot of people that say, "Oh, the country would be just awful," but no, we need to get these poor people some help. We need to have compassion. We give a lot of lip service to compassion and being a Christian nation, but there's nothing in Christianity that says we need to lock people up and not believe they can be rehabilitated. That might be true of a minority, but not most people who are in jail nowadays. We need very, very strong changes, and I am watching several bills that are going through Congress right now, and I'm just praying that they will pass so that we can start making some of these changes. It's a bad political climate. We've got a good president now, but my goodness, some of these people in Congress just don't have hearts. I get very frustrated. I get very frustrated, especially with my state. He is a very good president. He's got plans that if the legislators can pass some of these bills, we will see major changes in the environment, in counting daycare as infrastructure and providing good quality daycare. I had a horrible time with daycare when I was a single parent. Finding good daycare was very difficult. There were plenty of daycare centers and individuals that did childcare, but very few of these facilities were good for my children. So I look at this bill and I say, yeah, because, if you want women to be able to work, they need reliable, good quality childcare. And we need to, all these things are so important. We need health care for everybody because you know, it can what zip code you're in can make a big difference in how you are treated if you go to the hospital. It shouldn't be that way. It should be equal for everybody. So there's so many things that Biden is trying to do. Yeah, the two-party system is very flawed. I really don't like it, but it's very, very hard for anybody who's not Democrat or Republican to win anything but a very local race. I have seen independents win, but our two-party system is broken. The Democrats are pretty good. The Republican Party is nuts. they're trying to restrict all our voting rights. Here in Georgia, where I live, oh, wow. That's cool. I think that would be neat to have that many parties active, and that way you've got representation for all sorts of people. It that would be wonderful. I wish that we could do that here. I really do. We need more voices to be heard. There's plenty of voices in America, but we are like in an echo chamber. We are not being heard because right now I don't know if you've seen Marjorie Taylor Greene on the TV, but oh, she is my representative, but she has never lived in this area. I mean, she bought a house in this area, but you can be a representative of an area of the United States without being a resident of that area. So she lives in Metro Atlanta, which is the capital of Georgia, and Georgia is one of our 50 states that's in the South. And the things that are going on right now, I'm just not believing that, we just, our Georgia legislature just, um, yeah, yeah. And the thing is, I've been writing to my congressman for years. I have always gotten a response. But this crazy woman won't even answer my emails, and she sends me her racist newsletter. It's insulting to me. So I feel like, you know, I'm a registered voter and I've voted, all my life. And yet my elected officials are not listening to me. I mean, the two Democratic congressmen, yes, they listen to me. But this one that is the Republican ignores me. I think there should be accountability. It's crazy. And we're getting our voting rights taken down, and now the Republicans can go in and contest a county's election results. This is just nutso stuff. I am feeling like our country is gonna, I kind of see myself in the position of one of the common German people when Hitler came to power. I feel about as powerless as they did, seeing all these new laws enacted and having more restrictions and just seeing the cruelty. It, I'm not comparing what I'm going through to the Holocaust. That would be ridiculous. But in the early days of Hitler's rise to power, he was doing some things like the Volkswagen that were good, but yet he didn't make them available to the masses. They never got mass produced. So he lied about a lot of things. I agree. There are a lot of them that really belong in jail, especially the decided that riot on January 6th. I was horrified. And still, we don't have any charges against any of those congressmen that spoke and incited the crowd to do the insurrection. Somebody provided them detailed maps of the Capitol and all the secret tunnels. It's crazy. So, definitely, I am very sad about our politics, and I am definitely very happy with President Biden. And he got so many experts together to look at a lot of the social problems that we have, and they made very good plans that he's trying to implement. Yeah. And That's what it feels like to me, like Hitler at the beginning, where, it wasn't obvious to anybody that he was going to go forth and do the horrible things to the Jews that he did. But at the same time, it can start small like that. And it worries me. I fear we can lose our democracy so easily because there are so many people that are listening to the wrong people and they're just making these decisions that are full of hate. What we need is more love. We need to love everybody. We need to. Oh, I love Bernie Sanders. I absolutely love him. And a lot of these plans that Biden came up with, he pulled the whole Democratic Party together and he listened to Bernie Sanders and a lot of the he tried to listen to everybody, the far left and the moderates and all of them. So in that plan, a lot of Bernie Sanders ideas are in it. The environmental stuff and the universal health care. He's trying to work for like Medicare for all, which would be an excellent thing. It covers a lot of things and it includes some hospitalization benefits. So it would really, really help a lot. Um, I love Bernie Sanders. And AOC, I think she's great. She's just all them. I really think that if they are successful, that our country will change for the better. I just wish we could get rid of some people like my congressman. I wish they would do whatever it is they do to. I know, and it's so good. It's everybody should have a free health system, and that way you wouldn't have the preventable diseases. How it is right now, a lot of times somebody will go to the emergency room of the hospital if they're sick, and maybe they've got advanced cancer that could have been found with a simple screening that wouldn't have cost that much. And now they're looking at this giant bill and they're not even sure if they can live. It happens every day. It's terrible. Any compassionate person would want people to have health care. I don't understand all these people saying, well, I'm not going to pay for it. If everybody puts in, it can be fair and free for everybody. I would be willing to contribute, even at my income level, and I'm, less than 20,000 a year. you know? I would really, um, I would want everybody to be taken care of. It's just sad that we have so many homeless people. We have families with children who can't afford a place to live. I'm not familiar with Breaking Bad. I didn't see it, but you know, definitely if they had treatment for drugs, a lot of people wouldn't get so bad before they got the treatment they needed. It the EU does so many things right that you know, I wish that people would these politicians need to quit saying that socialism is communism. I mean, didn't they listen in school? We were taught the difference. Socialism is just considering the needs of the many, and it works. Y'all's healthcare system is great. I wish we had it. Our neighbor Canada to the north has it. I like the freedom of speech, but I don't like that a lot of groups are free to hate and to tear people down. It's good to have free speech, it's good to have dialogues, but what we don't need is all of the stalking, all of the hate, all of the things that go with that hate. We need to abolish the well, consider, we have a lot of freedoms, members of the LGBTQ community can come out of the closet and be who they want to be. But we've got all these nuts on the far right who have, like, the Ku Klux Klan. To me, a civilized nation would not have the Ku Klux Klan in existence, period, because all they stand for is hate and division. Well, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm 62 and my father was approached by the Klan and they tried to force him to join them, and they made somebody break into his gas station 3 times, and finally he said, "I'm getting out of Dodge. I'm going to, you know, take my wife and go to another." Hmm. That may be true, but they shouldn't be allowed to persecute people. It's I think it's awful that all they want to do is just spread this hate, and they don't even have a good reason for it. They cite things that they can't prove scientifically. Yeah, but the endless arguments aren't that good either. You need to have some peace. You don't need teenagers persecuting teenagers to the point that they're committing self-harm. You want to have a society where you're free to say what you want to, as long as you aren't attacking some group because they're their own group. To me, love is the best policy. And it just makes me sad that so many people in our country are openly persecuted and there is nothing to stop it before lives are lost. This is true, but the um, the better way to do would be to limit their right to attack us. You know, um, it's I think we have the free enterprise system, and it's a good system, but it's a ruthless system. We need to limit the damage that one group can do to another. And when you've got militias that are self-made militias and they amass all these arms and Yeah. We need more agreeing to disagree, definitely, because all these just I have seen so many families split between Democrats and Republicans, and it's been a wedge even in my family. It's just unreal that you true. I think we need more parties. We need more strong parties so that you've got a dialogue. With only two, and with this division, the Republican Party used to have a platform. They used to get together at their convention like the Democrats do, and they used to lay out, okay, this is what we believe. Last election, when Trump was elected, they didn't have a platform, which shocked me to the core because Republicans always had a platform. And they went into the election with no platform, just support Trump. It's like, really? Somebody who is so prejudiced against everybody? I suffered through 4 years of him, and I am hoping we don't get somebody just like him next time. It worries me what all these states are doing with all of these restrictive voting laws. It's like a concerted effort to take away our free speech because free speech, voting is the core of free speech, being able to elect who you want. And the peaceful transfer of power, we did not have that last time. And it is frightening to me that we have so many people who are trying to tear down our democracy. You know, at some point it becomes treason and it needs to be punished. Free speech is good, but you can't have people tearing into the Capitol and destroying things that can't be replaced, all those artifacts. Well, Afghanistan is truly tragic. I feel so sorry for all the refugees. That's what I think of when I think of Afghanistan. I don't think there is any any way that could have been avoided. I think we shouldn't have yeah, we shouldn't have gone in the first place. And we did our best. We built schools and we went in and did some good things. But the thing was, we were not letting them settle their own differences. We shouldn't have stepped in. We should have just let them do what they needed to do. And for all our wanting to find all Al Qaeda and defuse them, um, you know, we had the world behind us on that, but we've been there too long and we really haven't, you know, we didn't accomplish what we went in there to do. And I don't think it ever works. I haven't yet. I've had a very disorganized week. I haven't forgotten though. I've still got notes. Um I I will try them. I will. In fact, I probably ought to do that on another live stream and just see what different results I get. In fact, why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? All right, I'm going to get on here and I'm going to, if I can figure out how to do this, let's see. Um, okay. All right, let's see. Let's see. So if I go to DuckDuckGo, can I use their search engine? Okay. Let's try mental disabilities. Okay, CDC comes up first. Wow, that's cool. Okay, well, that's pretty good. Let me try another one. Let me put what this link is about. Alrighty. Okay. Okay. Well, this is interesting. Usually I have to look down a lot to find what I want. This is refreshing. Okay. Let's see what the 10 most common mental illnesses are. And I'm having to, all right, NIM is a good one. So I have to dig a little further on that one. Not bad. Okay. Okay, let's try something completely different. Say I'm going to search something like making steel, or well, architecture on Mars. Let's see how it does with this. Cool. Cool. Architecture on Mars. Cool. All right. I don't want to do that right now, but that's cool. Let me put this over here. Okay. Why is Battle.net up? I don't want to start Battle.net. I can't play WoW on this one. Okay. That's fine. Well, let me see what. Okay. How about hmm. You can edit them online. That's cool. All right, I'm seeing a lot of those that I expect to see for free 3D models. A lot of sites that I already use. Not too bad. I probably ought to try it out some more. I'll put it in Chrome. It wouldn't hurt. Cool. Alrighty. Oh, cool. Alrighty. Let's see something differently. So, cool. Definitely going to have to play with this some more. Oh, good. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to keep an open mind. I definitely liked what I saw so far, so I need to come up with some comparisons. Cool. This is true, although, yeah, well, it's a good concept. I do like a lot of open source software. I like Blender. I like GIMP. I use GIMP a lot, and a few others. So yeah, I definitely love the concept of open source stuff. So that's a good idea. I did not realize it'd be so easy to access other searches. I've just used Google for so many years. But yeah, it's nice not to get all the commercial sites. Very nice. So you might have just changed my mind, Myros. So I 'Cause so far, you are right on, absolutely right. It's like I'm not having to wait as much. So I need to test it more. Definitely need to test it more. So thank you. It's good to have different people to bounce ideas around. Because definitely, I'm not too old to learn something new, that's for sure. I tend to get set in my ways sometimes, but generally, I'm always trying to keep open, because when you get older, you tend to close off a lot of your choices, and we really shouldn't do that. I've seen so many elderly people that just get locked into these patterns that, they don't want to listen to anything that's different from where they're focused. So, but definitely, um, I liked what I saw. So I will do more testing. I really think that our government needs to investigate all three of the top um, tech companies and, kind of, the more I hear about Facebook, they have some really good ideas, but on the other hand, I think they've got the ulterior motive. We need to make sure that misinformation is not spread so much. Because, yes, we need to have free speech, but when people are dying needlessly because of so many lies that have been spread about the vaccine, and the algorithms tend to feed whatever you look for back at you, it can, it's killing people. So we need to preserve free speech, but we need to also have the voice of reason there. I read the book many, many years ago, so I don't remember a lot about it, but a lot of what we, yeah, a lot of what we are living through right now is very reminiscent of it. There are cameras everywhere watching us, and um I need to watch it again, definitely. It was a very good film, but we need to be careful that we don't end up like that. Certainly, but what we need is not an entity deciding what truth is, but we do need to use what we learned in school about good sources, and maybe label sources as, okay, this is a primary source, this is hearsay, because so many people are taking the lies about COVID for gospel truth, and people are dying. That's true. And I don't think we should do that. But we do need to, where things are dangerous to people's health, we need to have something that brings up a source, maybe adds a little tag on there saying, okay, this site has a lot of things that don't agree with this site or this site, and people can decide for themselves. You can write things into algorithms to check with, I know we do need to be careful for sure, but the problem is the way that they are writing these AIs. They are working towards feeding people what they want so they'll watch the ads. And we need to stop that. We need to have search engines not be so biased about, once you're in a certain bubble, you tend to get more of the same. So you are fed more and more radical information instead of having a balance. So I think they need to make sure that these algorithms are not being um, getting these weird ideas put before more people. You know, the scientific method works, and primary sources, and I think they do really more than they let on, because they're in it to make money. So the algorithm is written so that they make money off the ads. And it needs we need reliable search engines that do not have a benefactor, you know. We need to be comparing the facts, and maybe ranking, okay, this is a primary source, this is a secondary, this is a tertiary. So you're going to trust a primary source more than you are. Hmm, cool. I need to listen to that. That makes sense. There are some things about programming that are unexpected. And you can't always go back through the code and figure out why. Well, when you go to write a program and it's a complicated program, you can say, okay, I want to do this, 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 and this. And I'm going to write this line of code so it points to sorting through this source. And then I do this line to point at that source. But no matter how carefully you craft the code, there's always going to be some things that it might do that are out in left field. You always have bugs in a program, and you've got to trace them down and figure out, well, where did that come from? And that's what AIs do. They do modify themselves so that they perform more efficiently. So we have to be careful, though, that the rules we give it can't be interpreted a different way. And we need to not have a company that is out to make a profit in charge of it. We need a neutral institute or agency to write a master algorithm, maybe, or have several competing ones, and have them not be, you know, we need it so it's not biased to put ads in front of us. Well, no company is perfect, and no AI is going to be perfect because it's programmed by humans. You know? There's always going to be causes for problems in the workings of it. But if you have good intentions, hopefully things, this is true. But if you limit, you know, getting distracted by my announcements, um, it just takes some you've got to have an ethics board in there somewhere, and you've got to have rules that are ethically sound. And there are several organizations looking at that, and I think that maybe the government needs to step in to say to Google and Amazon and Apple and all of the Facebook and all the major tech companies, they need to have an ethics board, and they need to, you know, program the ethics into their AIs so that you don't have the bubble system where you've got somebody that's interested in this, and this, getting this from left field that's really a conspiracy site, and they get sucked down the rabbit hole. Because psychologists are saying that once people get sucked down that rabbit hole and they're, you know, this is true, but there needs to be, we need the best minds in ethics to come up with standards that everybody needs to follow. Well, there's going to be problems with, like with any social issue, there are going to be problems. There are no perfect solutions because we are an imperfect world, but we can get more quality in there and make a good faith effort to improve ethics in all companies. But we need to, if they're so intent on profit that they're going to let their ethics go to the wayside, they need to be accountable for that. And I really believe that accountability is the important things. Everybody needs to be accountable in their corporation for following the law and for having good ethics as far as their AIs, because we've got to have, if you don't have that built in to your algorithm is going to serve up the worst of the search results. And that's what we have right now. And it's going to take smarter people than me to come up with the solutions, true. I think about a lot of things, but I'm not qualified to solve the world's problems. I just have some thoughts about it. But, Myros, I enjoyed talking with you and hope to see you again. I'll be back tomorrow night to talk about disabilities some more, and have a good night, and hope to see you again. Bye-bye. Thanks for contributing. That was an interesting discussion. So, and with this, I'm going to end my live stream. So, good night, Myros, and good night to all of you. And it was fun. I love it when folks participate. So, come back to Granny's house sometime, and we can talk about more disability issues and social issues, because it's all connected. Y'all take care. Good night for now. Put up my goodbye scene. Bye-bye.